Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Perez,
And I'm Wesley Long.
and we're bringing you a fresh new take on disaster preparedness.
Welcome to DisasterClass.
When you need an emergency plan, you need Doberman Emergency Management. Whether you're buying a home and want to know about your local hazards, or you're a professional needing additional support, Doberman Emergency Management can help. Visit DobermanEMG.com today to learn more. Everybody, welcome back to Disaster Class. Today we're really excited because we have a survivor story or disaster story to share, and we're going to welcome Austin Grant to the show. Austin, thank you so much for joining us and being willing to share your story with us.
Yes, sir. I think it's a good one. We'll see what you guys think.
Well, we're eager to hear it.
We are riveted.
Absolutely, yeah. So this actually happened fairly recently. So just a little bit of background how I got into this situation. I was living in New York, actually. Me and Wes, good friends. I moved back to Wyoming because that's where I was born and raised. Like 2 years ago, got married. And my wife is from Brazil, and so I'm trying to show her like the fine points of Wyoming. So it's an outdoors state. Like if you haven't seen the mountains in Wyoming, you have to, because it's beautiful. So we go on this trip. We drive 3 hours out into the middle of nowhere and get up into the mountains. Now, mind you, like I didn't have anything that's like even close to ready for the mountains. I was driving a Ford Fusion, right? And I'm driving this Fusion through these bumpy roads and just trying to find any kind of camping spots that I can for. And we find this gorgeous place a little further west in Wyoming from Cheyenne. So we're parked on this right next to this kind of overwashed beaver creek, and it's so overrun by this point in the season that it looks like a lake. It's gorgeous. So we set up camp, and to my wife's credit, she, when we got our camping spot, says this ground feels kind of soft. Are you sure that this is going to be a safe place? The trees aren't going to fall down or anything? I said, no, it's going to be fine. So we set up, and I get my tent going, a little 2-person tent. And I'm like, I'm all Joe Hiker. I'm into it. And the day is beautiful. We go to sleep. We wake up the next morning, and it's kind of a hazy day. It's rainy. We go for a hike, and she's asking me. She's like, "Are you sure everything's going to be okay?" So, yeah, it's good. It's a nice day. So we go for this hike. We get back. We're hungry. I'm cooking. And this is like wind really starts picking up. I'm like, this is pretty intense. She's getting cold. So we go in the tent. I'm like, we're just going to sit this one out. So we crack open some beers and we're playing cards. And the wind starts getting harder. And then it starts getting really loud. And I can hear the rain kind of hitting our tent. And then it started sounding louder than rain. And then we start like full on like thunderstorm. And I'm like, what is going on? Because at this point, the wind is blowing so hard that it's like turning my tent inside out. And
wow.
My wife's like looking at me like, are we going to die? So
she's like, what did I get myself into?
Exactly, right? Like this is the first time being on the mountain. So I'm like fighting through my tent to find the zipper. I finally rip it open. I crawl out of my tent. And the wind was coming in so hard that it was probably making 12-foot waves through this beaver creek. I mean, it was huge. And the cracks that we heard were not just thunder. They were trees being broken. So the tree that she said, are we safe? Is this going to fall over? It did fall over. I mean, this is like a 4-foot wide tree. Came so close to our tent that it was on the strings of my fly, right?
Wow.
Another tree didn't get uprooted. It just straight up broke in half. So we're like don't even bother rolling up the tent. We just jam it into the trunk and we start hightailing it out there. I get about 30 feet outside of my campground, and there's trees as far as I can see up the road. And I'm like, what is going on here? So by this time, the wind has died down. It's still a little rainy. And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm getting out of there, but I'm watching trees just continue to fall around us. And I'm like, we're out of here. We spent the next 8 hours with a handsaw, sawing through these trees and pulling them out of the road because I didn't have a vehicle that was ready to be out there. I didn't have tools for that kind of emergency. 8 hours. I pulled about 30 trees out of that road before a rescue team was coming in from outside of the mountain with a chainsaw.
Wow.
So when you say, honey, let's go camping, nah. I'm good.
She's a little skeptical now. She's a little skeptical.
Rightfully so. That is crazy, Austin.
So looking back on it, like I did so many things wrong, like underprepared. Probably the biggest thing is that I didn't check the weather before I went out, and I had no radio to give us any kind of warning.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of looking at the weather, and I'm like, oh, it's raining. So what we actually found out when we finally got back into town, which by the way, we had to drive another 4 hours around the back of the mountain and then back home. What we found out when we got into town is that a tornado had gone up one side of the mountain and down the other.
Whoa.
And we were inside of that.
Amazing.
So that takes it from,
we did not die.
I was going to say the safety and the lack of safety, how perilous that situation was. That's scary.
Yeah, that's very scary. Well, first of all, let me say that we're happy that you guys survived.
Can tell the story
and are here talking about it. So
yeah.
we're always about lessons learned, right? Obviously, you said, you wish you had prepared a little bit better. Now, having lived through that event and having a now deeper understanding, if you were to go back out camping again, what would you do differently?
Yeah.
So one, completely reboot my pack. I think I went a little overboard with it because since then, I got an SUV, slapped a winch onto it, lifted tire, like off-road tires, like, because even in that instance, if I would have had anything to help me pull those trees out of the way, that would have saved me a lot of pain and got us out of the danger zone that much faster. So
yeah.
I think a lot of it was just kind of like looking at that situation and saying like, wow, here's everything that I wish I had in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then starting to put it together because we still love to go to the mountains, but seeing what we were lacking then, like we've adjusted so that we can do that safely. The weather was a big thing too. If I would have like taken an extra 30 seconds to just kind of tune into any AM radio station here, I would have heard that a storm was coming through there.
Yeah.
There were campers next to us and all of them cleared out, 2 hours before we did.
That advanced warning. Got to get plugged into the advanced warning system.
Yeah, one of the things that we like to recommend, just, obviously it you have to be able to do things that realistic you can do, not but there's little things that you can do that make a huge difference, and getting that advanced warning is such a huge one. So one of the things that we actually in our U-Pack go bags, we have a little portable NOAA weather radio. Mm-hmm. So not only are you getting that AM and FM, but you're getting those really critical weather alerts too.
Yep.
And some of those radios actually have the alert feature built into it, where it'll actually do a little tone. It's like, hey, severe weather, there's a tornado coming, pay attention. And now it's like, okay, now you're more informed, and now you can take some steps to protect yourselves. But yeah, wow.
Yeah, even the alerts on your phone, even if you had the FEMA app, seeing the difference for you is you drove 3 hours away. So there would have been value in you putting in that new zip code into FEMA, into the app, so you would have gotten specific weather-related alerts over your phone if you had phone signal on that mountain. That also, too, would have been very, very helpful.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Any of that would have helped.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can't stress enough either with because I think like when you talk disaster preparedness, people are like, oh yeah, that's a good idea just in case something happens, and then that's about as deep as like I think the average person wants to get into it. But when you're actually like, when your only protection from a tornado that's literally ripping trees out of the ground and dropping them next to you, it is you realize your life is at risk. Like,
yeah,
you know, one wrong breeze or one wrong step, and
that could have ended differently.
You're actually dead. Yeah. I mean, for us, just sitting in our tent thinking we were going to sit out a rainstorm, we were 2 feet from being under a tree.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Yep.
Well, Austin, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're glad you made it through it unscathed. And
you're still married, so
and
that's
you're
a
still
plus
married, yeah. So that's a plus.
You know, wins all around.
Yeah, that's another one. Get a good wife.
Yeah, Camilla.
Yeah. Wow.
Kudos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Austin, and we're looking forward to sharing this with everybody else on Disaster Class. So
yeah, thanks. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.